Hi everyone! Welcome to Math Nubay channel. I am Mr. Jobert Seridor, ang inyong tagapag Math Nubay. This video I will discuss how to identify the vertical asymptote, horizontal asymptote, the domain, the range, the x-intercept, and y-intercept. If bago ka lang sa YouTube channel na to, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell upang updated kayo sa mga next video tutorial ko. Let's start! Let's start! Alam nyo ba na ang vertical at ang domain, range at ang horizontal asymptote ay connected sa isa't isa? In other words, if meron tayong vertical asymptote, we can now directly identify the domain. If meron tayong horizontal asymptote, we can also directly determine the range. How about the x and y intercept? Ibang process din yon. Here are some steps in identifying the vertical asymptote and the domain. Let's start with the vertical asymptote. In vertical asymptote, don't forget that we need to have the simplified form of the equation. Okay? If it is in simplified form, we can directly equate the denominator into 0. Then find the value of the variable x. If meron na tayong vertical asymptote, which is x is equal to the number, in other words, we can directly get the domain. We can use either set builder notation or interval notation. While in identifying the range and the horizontal asymptote, there are three cases in finding the horizontal asymptote. Case number 1, it is stated that if the highest degree exponent in numerator is less than the highest degree in denominator, in other words, the horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 0. Case number 2 stated that if the highest degree exponent in numerator is equal to the highest degree exponent in denominator, in other words, kukunin lang natin ang ating mga leading coefficient ng mga highest exponent na ito. Then, whatever the result, that is our answer. Case number 3 stated that if the highest degree exponent in numerator is greater than the highest degree exponent in denominator, in other words, there is no horizontal asymptote. But there is a range. Okay? So again, we will base the horizontal asymptote in the three cases na naibigay ko earlier. Now, in finding the range, if ma-fall siya under sa case number 1, yung ating horizontal asymptote, we can directly create a range. If the function is a fall under case number 3, all we need to do in finding the range, we will do the log method. Let's proceed now in finding the x and y intercept. If you want to identify the x and y intercept, in finding the x-intercept, don't forget to equate y into 0. While finding the value of our y-intercept, don't forget to equate x is equal to 0. Then, substitute, evaluate, and simplify. And there you have it. Let's have an example for all the things upang maintindihan ninyo lalo ang aking sinasabi. Watch this. Let's have some examples. Let's start with f of x is equal to x plus 1 over x minus 4. Let's start finding the vertical asymptote. In finding the vertical asymptote, all we need to do is to equate the denominator into 0. So we have x minus 4 is equal to 0. Then let's try to find the value of our variable x. So we have x is equal to 4. Since may vertical asymptote na tayo, we can now directly determine the domain. In finding the domain, we will base the answer in vertical asymptote. You can create or you can use using set builder notation or interval notation. Now, how can we identify or how can we write if I will use set builder notation? So we have x is an element of real number such that and every value of x is not equal to 4. That's it. Now, if we will use the interval form, you will have negative infinity, positive 4, union of 4 to positive infinity. And there you have it. We have now vertical and domain. Let's proceed now to the horizontal asymptote. Now, let's proceed now to horizontal asymptote. There are 3 cases for horizontal asymptote. Case number 1, it is stated that if the highest degree exponent in numerator is less than the highest degree exponent in denominator, in other words, our horizontal asymptote is y is equal to 0. If the highest degree exponent in numerator is equal to the highest degree exponent in denominator, in short, we will get only the leading coefficient. Case number 3, it is stated that if the highest degree exponent in numerator is greater than the highest degree exponent in denominator, in other words, there is no horizontal asymptote. But in this example, this is fall under case number 2. Why? Because the highest degree exponent in numerator is 1 equal to the highest degree exponent in denominator, which is also 1. We will get only the leading coefficient. So we have y is equal to 1 over 1. Why 1 over 1? Since the leading coefficient of x over x is 1 over 1. So we have y is equal to 1. Since we have the value of the horizontal asymptote, we can now identify the range. How to identify or how to make range? We can use same thing sa domain. We can use set builder notation or interval notation. So we have y is an element of a real number such that and every value of y is not equal to 1. We can also use interval form. We have negative infinity 1, union of 1 to positive infinity. Okay? So meron na tayong 4 na nakuha. Let's proceed now to the x and y intercept. This time, let's proceed now to the x-intercept and y-intercept. How can we identify the x and y-intercept? Let's start with x-intercept. In finding the x-intercept, as what I have said earlier, that we need to equate y is equal to 0. For x-intercept, we have equate x into 0. Okay? So let's start with x-intercept. So we have f of x is equal to x plus 1 is equal to x minus 4. We already learned that the value or we already learned that f of x is also y. So that's why since the value of y is 0, so we have 0 is equal to x plus 1 over x minus 4. Then, all we need to do is to cross multiply. So we have x plus 1 is equal to 0 times x minus 4. Multiply, this is 0. So we have x plus 1 is equal to 0. X is equal to negative 1. While for the y-intercept, let's equate x into 0. So we have f of x is equal to x plus 1 over x minus 4. Since x is equal to 0, so we have y equal to 0 plus 1, 0 minus 4. Then y is equal to, we have 1 over negative 1/4. Ayan. So, the answers are, for vertical asymptote, we have x is equal to 4. Horizontal, we have y is equal to 1. The domain, we have x is an element of real number such that x is not equal to 4. Or we have negative infinity to 4, union of 4 to positive infinity. While the range is y is an element of real number such that y is not equal to 1. Then, negative infinite to 1, union of 1 to positive infinity. For the x-intercept, equate y into 0, substitute, we come up with x is equal to negative 1. While the y-intercept, equate x into 0, we have f of x, then we come up with the answer which is 1/4. Alright. Let's proceed now to another example. If we have 5 over x squared minus 4x plus 3, let's identify now the vertical asymptote, the horizontal, the domain, the range, the x-intercept, and the y-intercept. Okay? So let's start with the vertical asymptote. Again, the steps in finding the vertical asymptote: equate the denominator to 0, then find the value of our variable x. So we have, since our denominator is x squared minus 4x plus 3, therefore we have x squared minus 4x plus 3 is equal to 0. Since we can directly identify the value of variable x, but we can factor out the denominator. So ang magiging factor nito, we have x. So since this is 3, then negative 4, therefore we come up with negative 3 and negative 1. Alright, okay, is equal to 0. So let's identify now the value of our variable x. So we have, in this case, we have x is equal to 3 and x is equal to positive 1. Okay? Now, how to write this one in a form of domain since dalawa na yung value ng ating vertical asymptote? Madali lang yan siya. So, uunahin muna natin yung set builder notation. So, we have x is an element of a real number such that in every value of x is not equal to 3 and x is not equal to 1. That's it. If we will make also in terms of the interval form, we have negative infinite, positive 1, union of 1 to 3, union of 3 to positive infinite. Sir, bakit ang dami sa ating interval? Okay? So, since dalawa yung value na sa ating interval, sa ating vertical asymptote rather, all we need to do is to capture in between, papuntang negative infinity and papuntang positive infinity. Pero, if nahihirapan kayo kung ano yung dapat mauna, ganito yung ating tips na gagawin. Kung ano yung pinakamaliit na value, yun ang ating isama sa ating negative infinite. Kung ano yung pinakamalaking value, we have also isama natin siya sa ating positive infinite. Ang in-between naman, it is in correct order. Ascending order, we have 1 and 3. Union is constant. Okay? Now, let's proceed to the horizontal asymptote. If we try to go back in our cases, we have case number 1, 2, and 3, saan kaya ito ma-fall? If we go back to our 3 cases, saan kaya ma-fall ang equation na to? Is it the highest degree exponent is less than the highest degree exponent in denominator? Or equal, case number 2, or greater than yung numerator than sa ating denominator? Okay, tama. This is case number 1, which is the highest degree exponent sa numerator is less than the highest degree exponent sa ating denominator. Basically, our horizontal asymptote y is equal to 0. Okay? Now, for our range, basic, we have y is an element of real number such that and every value of y is not equal to 0. Now, for interval form, we have negative infinite, 0, union of 0 to positive infinite. Okay? Now, let's proceed to the x-intercept. For x-intercept, again, let's equate y is equal to 0. Substitute, we have f of x is equal to 5 over x squared minus 4x plus 3. We have y as which is 0. We have 0 is equal to 5 over x squared minus 4x plus 3. Cross multiply, we have 5 is equal to 0x squared minus 4x plus 3. 5 is equal to 0. Kung ma-observe ninyo, wala tayong variable x. In other words, there is no x-intercept. So, wala tayong x-intercept. In short, yung graph natin ay walang intersection sa ating x-axis at sa ating graph. While for the y-intercept, let's equate x into 0. So, we have f of x is equal to 5x squared minus 4x plus 3. Y, we have 5. 0 squared minus 4 times 0 plus 3. 0, 0, we have 5 over 3. And that's it. Okay? So, we have now the answer. And that's it! Hopefully, naintindihan ninyo and I wish na meron kayong natutunan sa araw na to. Kaya, sa mga bago pa lang sa channel na to, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell para updated kayo sa next topic natin sa General Mathematics. Again, I am Mr. Jobert Siridor, nagsasabing, kung gusto mong matuto, mag-subscribe ka!